Liberals, we're winning. Here's why, and here's how. First of all, out of 40 judgments, which are about to be 41 and 42 in a minute in the appeals court, but out of 40 judgments, we won 39. We're winning. Things are getting reversed. On top of that, Trump is ticking off all of the judges. Why? Because he's trying to get articles of impeachment, change them over, like Boasberg for the Alien Enemies Act, deportation case, where they told him don't do that and don't ship those people out, and they shipped them out. They shipped some of them that were women out they weren't supposed to ship out, and people had cases, and they tried to just throw their cases out the door and not do it. And there's a lady right now who just heard, and she signed an affidavit. She heard the whole conversation of ICE, who knew not to ship them out, and the plane was already in the air, and she signed an affidavit for the ACLU. ACLU is coming for those assets. For real, ACLU rocks, y'all. Support them any way they can, any way you can, because they're incredible. Here's the other thing that we know. We know that everything that they do in the last 10 weeks has been a typical playbook of let's break the law. If the judge rules against us, we're going to take it to appeals, and then we're going to take it to the Supreme Court. But the problem is, the last 10 weeks, they've been losing that 39 to 40. Right now, there are two appeal courts that are going up. There's one for the 25,000 plus employees who got their jobs returned, for those temporary staff employees across several departments, from Treasury Department, Defense, VA, Agriculture, Homeland Security, so on. And the appeal doesn't look good. It looks like it's going to go to the Supreme Court. They're going to ask the Supreme Court to look at it, at least. Then there's another one that's going to go to the Supreme Court. They just keep going for the Supreme Court. This is going to be the biggest amount of cases Supreme Court has to deal with a president ever. Ever. And they're asking the Supreme Court if they could take a look they're going to be asking the Supreme Court if they could take a look at this Aliens Act deportation case. So you got the deportation case, you got the mass firing case. Because the deportation case, I don't think they're trying to get in D.C. Circuit Court, and appeal it, the one with Boasberg, but it doesn't look like that's going to work in their favor at all. They ain't going to overturn that. I don't think so. So they're going to go with two cases to the Supreme Court. But the idea is the Supreme Court is pissed. Justice Roberts rebuked Trump, and he was nominated by Trump. That don't mean he won't rule in his favor, but he's got real weird feelings about when you call in impeaching fellow judges, which for no reason other than there was a judgment against them. You know what I mean? So they're in big, big trouble. We're in big, big win. Hold tight, breathe tight. This isn't feel-good stuff. This is facts. This is facts. Their playbook is flood the zone, take it up to appeals court, Supreme Court. But the problem is it's failing, because out of 40 times they've lost 39. They're going to lose a lot more. Now they're trying to do some other weird stuff, like, hey, let's attack the law firms that sue us. Like, really? That's like, you ever see Rush Hour with with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker? That episode where he walks into the martial arts school. He say, "Who want to fight?" That's what it's like. You basically are calling out every law firm who can't wait to get a name off of whipping your assets, or at least trying to. Do you really want that fight? You think you're intimidating people? They've intimidated one company, Paul Weiss, but that's because they have a lot of money on the line politically, and they were like, listen, we'll give you the $40 million pro bono. Yeah, we'll throw out our attorney who was in the case, a criminal case against you, and we'll do all of that, because we're a bunch of punk-ass biatch, But other than them, not everybody's going to fold like that. No. You got Perkins that's fighting for their right, and they got temporary reinstatement. Because Perkins' law firm, basically, Trump did an executive order banning, just holding back, like, listen, banning their access to all government. Why? Because of their case that they had, against him? And they didn't like it, or some other stuff that they were on. It was Democratic, very Democratic defensive law firm, and they fought back. And the judge gave them temporary access in the meanwhile. They're going to lose that case. They're losing cases left and right. They're trying to flood the zone, but you pissing off the judges at the same time. Oh no, you're in a losing position. You done messed up. You done messed up big. Have I earned your subscription? I certainly hope I have. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. If you're not, follow wherever you're at, but get to my YouTube, Darren Monroe Politics. Thanks.